Hey everybody, here we are today in my shop. It's a rainy day, and if you have been watching my previous video, you will see that I had another motor out, and this time with the Vittorazi Motor 185. So, what's going on? I can't rev it over 5 to 6,000 RPMs without it sputtering and then dying out. It fires up fine, idles like a dream. So, I'm assuming that I either have a dirty screen from maybe having dirty fuel, potentially, I'm not sure yet, or I do a lot of beach flying. There could be sand that could have made its way into the carburetor. I'm not sure yet. We're gonna diagnose and see what's going on. Hopefully you guys do enjoy. Review I could read about this motor, every YouTube video I could watch about this engine, and I cannot find anybody who's having the same issue, so I'm assuming I'm having a very simple issue. So let's dive right into this. Let's find out what's going on. Hopefully you guys do enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you guys know something that I don't know, please let me know. So let's get right into this. All right, first things first, we gotta get this hose clamp loosened up, right, to Phillips head. With also a strap back here, that's a safety strap that it holds right here. Okay, so those two things have to come apart. Okay, so now we have two more things that have to be done first before this carburetor comes off. First is that we gotta pull the two bolts out of here, right, with the Allen key, and we also gotta disconnect the fuel line, which requires me to have the needle nose as well, which I have right here. So, and what I have here is just this little simple clamp that, you know, these fuel lines come with. You know, a lot of times they're very cheesy and you don't really necessarily need them. So, I'm going to grab a rag because I know that it's going to dump a little bit of fuel. Okay, so right now we're about to disconnect this fuel line, and I wanted to grab a rag or some paper towels here because fuel is going to come out. And what we need here is a flathead because this hose is going to be really on here really good. So let's just take our time, okay? Just pry this off nice and easy. All right, fuel is going back because now air is starting to enter this line, okay? Boom. Okay, try to keep this fuel line up like this for a moment. Okay, boom. Fuel won't come out now. I have it up in the air. So now, what's next is taking off the taking off the throttle cable because it has to come off or it's going to hang from the carb. So this just takes the Phillips head, and this is the really tricky part, but it's not too bad. So let's see here. Let's try to get this. All right. There we go. All right, nice. Here's first safety clamp for the fuel or for this line. So then boom, and then here's the piece that goes inside of it, the guide. All right, so now boom, so now the fuel or we now have the throttle cable disconnected, the fuel line disconnected. Now it's time to get our Allen key and break these suckers free and see what's going on. Okay, all right, they're on there tight. So this is the first time taking this carb off since factory. Okay, man, they are on there too. All right, now it feels loose enough to spin. All right, yep. All right, this is very exciting. This is the first one. There's going to be a couple parts here that are going to be coming out. So I'm not trying to take the reeds out or anything like that. This is just to pull this carb off, see what's going on. We're diagnosing here. All right. Okay, so I have the carb free. We're about to pull this off with all these gaskets. Okay, boom. All right. All right, we just pulled off the carburetor for the first time. Looks like we had some Loctite in both of these sides, which I will redo again. Okay, that's why it was a little harder to get them off, which is fine. So let's jump to the table and start pulling this carburetor apart. Buddy, so now carburetor is off. We also took off the air box, right? Which all looks pretty nice and clean inside there. We also took off the fuel line, but we also disconnected the throttle cable, right? Which is the slide that the cable goes through and sits in nice. And this is a secondary choke for the cable. I can't think of the right term name right now. But so what do we need right now, and what do we expect to see? So here's our carb. We have some gaskets underneath and an O-ring. So let's pull these apart. Nice and easy. So here's our 2 bolts, and it had some Loctite on the bottom. So we're going to do the same thing and clean them up for sure. Also, we have washers under here and a spacer that I want to remove. Okay, nice. These look in great shape. I'm going to keep that in the same direction. So now here we are with the carburetor. Okay, here's the plunger for when you prime the fuel line. You press this in, fuel spurts out right here at the top down. We have here our high jet that is set from factory with this nice tape that we do not touch. We have the low jet here that we do attempt to play with very little turns, 1 minute at a time turns, either clockwise or counterclockwise. And reason being is that this has to be always changed depending on weather, depending on altitude, and you know, if you're having hard starts, you know, you open this up, let more fuel in, so because you know you can lean it out by closing it all the way in. So anyway, what we got going on is that we're going to attempt to pull off the plunger side, make sure I don't have any tears. And we're also going to pull off this other side and make sure that everything looks good. And I want to see if there's sand in here. Let's see what's going on here. This motor has just hit 10 hours. But I do attempt a lot of beach flying. I do have this sitting in the garage, you know, so we're about to see what is going on. And I'm going to have to find out too if we have dirty fuel or not. Because if my screen's clogged, then I'm going to unclog it. We're going to add a inline filter to the fuel line. So this is 4 screws, little guys, very little. Pull the plunger off, nice and easy. Okay, very nice. Haha, looks like there was fuel on the outside of this. You can tell how it's wet on the outside. That's not good. So there's problem number 1. Okay, maybe this has a small tear in it. Maybe I was leaking air in. All right, try to get a flathead in here and just take your time. You know, this thing only has 10 hours on it. It shouldn't be bad, but you know, from these sitting, I guess, for a little while, they can be bad, so. All right, so the only thing that I noticed is that this had leakage around it. So the inside of this side, this is where the needle sits inside and the pop off is. So this is where the fuel comes in. You know, you push that thing in, it primes it. So what I'm trying to do right now is diagnose why this is wet on the outside. This might be bad. So let's go to the other side. Okay, nothing's gonna get interrupted. Same thing, we're gonna take this apart. These are bigger Phillips heads, so you can clearly not get it confused on which is which. It's nice that they do that. Okay, so let's get this side off. So it's looking like this side had something going on with that for sure. Okay, this looks all nice and clean in there. Okay, we're gonna just put this right here. Okay, so now here's a whole nother diaphragm. Okay, I do see maybe little specks of stuff. I'm not too sure yet, but let's try to take our time with getting this off. Okay, I'm flipping that over. Okay. And boom. Man, I think my screen is completely clogged. That's amazing. Okay, so now to get this out, what we're going to do, I can't believe it, it's clogged. I can't believe that it's clogged. Check this out. This screen right here, that looks so clogged. I cannot believe it. So that means that I had some dirty fuel in the bottom of the tank potentially, got through the fuel line, and made its way right to that screen. Crazy. I cannot believe it. It looks dirty. I can't wait to pull it out. Here and make it, because I don't have a pick. So I'm going to try to jab the side of this. Try to pull this out. So now I want to get my needle nose. Almost got it. Oh, so close. See if I can grab it with my fingers. All right, I did. All right, tilt this back upside down. I'm happy that I figured out that the screen was actually very clogged. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take my air chuck here and I'm gonna try to blow through the screen the opposite way. I'm gonna try to hold it with the flat nose here, see if we can get a good grip on it. Right where I see a clean spot. Okay, it feels pretty good. I'm gonna turn away and spray this. Not good. Not good. Okay, I don't know if you guys actually saw that or not. I went to go attempt to blow the screen out with my air hose, and I lost it for a minute, and luckily I found it on my toolbox. But now we have here a perfectly clean screen. So now let's get this carburetor back together, fire the motor up, and see if we fix the problem. I'm so excited. First, let's get that screen back in. We put that in nice and gently, pressing it. Oh, we just press it in there the slightest little bit. I normally will take a Phillips head and just press a very little bit right in the center, make sure it all goes in evenly till it stops. Well, it's not going to potentially stop, but until it's at least underneath the setup here. Very nice. Okay, boom. Okay, that's it. All right, screen is back in, completely nice and clean, not black anymore. All right, so what's next? We got the diaphragm here. We're gonna set this back on here, nice. Right, we're gonna get this going. This is, yep, goes like this. Okay, it all sits into place, very nice. These were the bigger screws. Okay, put all these in. So it's all, this is like what I do. I'll put them all in before I even try to crank any of them down. All right, nice and snug. We don't want no fuel or air coming out, okay? And we don't go like crazy man strength. I go to where it stops and I can't almost do it anymore. And boom, okay, so now we're nice and tight. So now let's get to the other side of the carburetor. Boom, so this at first concerned me because I thought it, you know, there was fuel on the outside of this. So we got to keep an eye out for this. And also, like I said, we're at our 10-hour mark and I need to potentially in the next 10 to 15 hours be able to do another carb rebuild. So it's time to order a whole new kit. So if you guys just saw what I did, so this comes off very simply. There's a little hook in, or a little circle here with a little divot in there. And what it does, it goes right around that hook. Very simple. So you just gotta check it out. Make sure you line it up, slide it in. Ooh, see how it didn't get on there that first time. All right, there it goes. Boom. There's only one way that gasket can clearly go on. Double check everything. Everything looks really nice. Okay. And I was pretty nervous, you know, like, oh, geez, what is going on? But happy that we obviously found a dirty screen and it wasn't some electrical issue. All right, we got this carb all put back together, nice and snug and tight. Double check this side because I just went around it, going around the opposite way, just to see. Okay. Okay, boom. So now this carb is ready to go back onto the motor. What we have here are these bolts, and at the end of them that go onto the sides here have had Loctite on them. So, which in most cases you have blue or red Loctite, and when you have these, I can obviously tell that they used a blue Loctite, and blue is better for actually breaking free eventually, you know, and red, you can use red, but when you use the red Loctite, you have to heat it up to actually break it free. So in this case, we're gonna just stick with the same. We're gonna go with the blue, and we're gonna get this carb all back together. All right, so I just found it to be a lot easier to put the this on first with the bolts, because now it's holding these gasket and the spacer in together, right? So that's nice. And what I would like to do really quick is take a rag, okay, and we're gonna wipe this down, make sure it's all nice and clean, make sure there's no debris, okay, which there is not. Okay, Very nice. And like I said, there was Loctite on here. We're gonna get the blue Loctite, and we're just going to do 2 very small drips on these, not a lot. Okay, so now boom. And then the Allen key I just have right here. So we're going to, okay, put this on. This goes on just like so. Line them up, boom, and then start going. Okay, get it started. That one is started. And this one, this little crank turns on these. Okay, that feels good. All right. Okay, very nice. It was on there really tight, so. All right. Okay, all right, I feel great with that. So now, what's next? We're gonna put on the throttle cable. So, all right, so this is a little tricky. So what happens is we've got the cable here. We got this piece that goes on first. It slides through and it sits right in here. Sits right into that groove there, you see? And then you got this guy that locks it down. So this is always kind of a little bit of pain. I'm gonna try to see if I can't capture this. All right, cable is back on. These are always a pain in the butt for some reason, but it's back on, and I had to cut this really short. That's not good. I'm gonna order a new cable now, and replace that. I cut way too much of it out, but that's okay. So now, what do we got going on? So now we're gonna add that fuel filter to this fuel line. Fuel filter that we're gonna attach now onto here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it somewhere right about here. So this is my straight run here. So let's give it a snip. Some fuel is definitely gonna come out now, so I'm gonna go down like this. Okay. All right, let's cut this line. I'm gonna cut it, like I said, this sits like this. So I'm gonna cut it. Okay, make sure the flow is right. Yep, flow is right. All right, that's on. Grab this clamp. Okay, get this, work itself up over that. Okay, very nice, and in the groove. Okay, wow, that's nice and on there. Okay, so now, get this onto our carburetor. Okay, very nice. Man, that slid on there a little too easy. That is nice. All right, very nice. Let's get this air box on. Here's the air box, and like I said, so what we got going on here is that we got this strap, we got this hose clamp, right? And we have this guy, what sits right here. So very simple. So first things first is that we put it around the carburetor. Okay, let's get you through. Okay, boom. All right, that's nice. Kill switch is on. Fuel is on there. The air box is nice and snug. Okay. Oh man, I cannot believe what just happened. My paramotor just fell over, getting ready to fire her up. Here's my prop that was just on here. Man, it felt pretty devastating. Oh, I can't believe it. You know, but I'm lucky that I have another set here that I won from SkyMax. But man, I'm so upset. Hopefully it can be fixed. I believe it probably can, but I don't know if it'll be balanced or not. So I'm gonna throw these new props on and see how it performs. See if we don't have the issue anymore. See if we can get the top end without it stalling. All right, this is gonna be the first run after taking the carb apart and cleaning the screen out. Okay, so I have no fuel in the line. I'm gonna prime it, right? Little squirt. All right, let's see what we got. Butter. I just got finished doing the whole setup. We're gonna try to fire this baby up. Be careful in the shop. I already just broke one propeller today. Let's not break the second one, so let's get outside. One rotation, two rotation. All right, my idle did adjust my low jet a little more out a minute. All right, you guys ready? Let's see if we can get the full power. Yes! Oh, we got my power back. I can't believe it. Man, that felt great too. No hesitation, no bog down. I can't believe it. Let's just try zapping it. Nice. Oh, it's running so good right now. Got my motor to get back up to its full potential of 8,000 RPMs. So exciting. I can't believe it. Can't believe what a dirty screen can do inside the carburetor. So make sure you guys all run an inline fuel filter on your fuel line. I can't believe it. I wish I already did it before. Learned my lesson. I just broke over 10 hours on that last beach flight. So I hope you guys did enjoy. I can't believe we got to fix the problem. I'm so happy and grateful. Make sure you guys stay tuned. Make sure you guys drop a like, a comment, and subscribe. And until the next one, guys, peace.